Hi, everyone, and welcome to this new live stream from the London School of English. Today, we have a great session for you on business English grammar. And we know that this is something that a lot of you may worry, for example, in your communication with clients and partners in emails or over the phone. So we've got lots of exercises for you which focus on accuracy in these aspects of your working life. And we hope that after today's live stream, you would feel so much more confident when using English. So just in terms of, if this is the live stream that's, for example, completely new to you and the sessions are new to you, then the London School of English is the oldest accredited English language school in the world. And we also have the highest ratings on Trustpilot. So we do those live streams regularly on our YouTube channel to connect you directly with our expert English trainers and help you improve your English. And I'm really happy to see people joining us right now. I know that some of you are alumni and have seen this live streams and know us. But then for anybody who is completely new to this channel, welcome, and do subscribe or consider subscribing if you want to see more videos on business English, general English, etc. So today I'm excited to introduce two of my colleagues, Ziad Al-Ravi and Silvia Cupini. Ziad is one of expert English trainers at our school, and many of you actually might already know Ziad if you studied business English or legal English with us. So Ziad has been teaching English to clients from around the world for about 7 years, or even more. Correct me if I'm wrong, Ziad. And what's interesting is that apart from focusing on the English language teaching career, Ziad also has legal qualifications as a solicitor. So he practiced law in England and Wales for over 10 years at various legal practices, from large corporates to high street practitioners, with a focus on civil law. He, as you can imagine, has great understanding when it comes to how international organizations work and how business communication works. So he will present you with a lot of practical examples that would be useful for your business communication in English. And I also am very happy to introduce my wonderful colleague, Silvia Cupini from our sales team, who helps clients with any questions related to choosing the right English language training for them. We'll all join you after Ziad kind of covers the main content related to business English grammar. So we'll have a Q&A session at the end, and we would then answer any questions you might have. So do write them in the live chat next to the video throughout this session. So now over to you, Ziad, and obviously for the main part of the session on business English grammar.
Thank you very, very much, Olga. Well, welcome everybody to this live stream. I hope that we're going to be able to provide you with some useful content that you can take away with you and that you can practically apply to your current business needs. And on thinking of the topic of business English mistakes, I thought the best way to do this would be to put it into the context of a business scenario. So for today's live stream, we're going to look at a common business situation involving two colleagues who work for an international company. Using this situation, we're going to look at some emails between the colleagues and analyze some of the language used. We will then look at a telephone conference meeting transcript between the colleagues where they discuss the project issues, looking at how to ask questions and how to use conditional sentences during the course of the meeting. So as you can see on the screen, the company is called AB Construction PLC and has projects all over the world. The people involved in this situation are Lisa Kane, who's a project manager based in London, England, and Marko Novak, site manager based in Pazin, Croatia. As you probably know, or maybe not know, in terms of the time difference between the UK and Croatia, it is actually just 1 hour, so it's Central European time. And this project is going to be taking place in between a place called Pazin and Serevolja, I think is the correct pronunciation. Forgive me if that's the incorrect pronunciation, if you're from Croatia, and it's regarding the building of a motorway. Okay, so what we're going to do is we're going to start looking at the emails first, and this is going to be the email dialogue between the two colleagues. And what we're going to do is we're going to have the email on the screen, and then we're going to look through each email, and I'm going to give you some opportunities, obviously, to provide any comments that you would like to, and ask any questions that you require, and then we can obviously answer those and also go through them at the same time. And then once we finish the emails, we will then move on to the transcript. So if we can move on to the email, that would be great. Hello to many, many people. Yes, I can see lots of names. Hello, everyone. Hello, Tanya. Yes. Hello, Sarah. Victor. Yes, wonderful. Very long time. Very, very long time indeed. So looking at the email that we are going to start with, we have email number 1. And it is dated, as you can see, Monday, the 1st of April. And it says, "Dear Marko, I hope you are keeping well. I've checked my schedule and I note that I haven't received an update from you regarding the progress of the motorway project. Please can I have an update by no later than 4 p.m. UK time, Wednesday, 3rd April. Looking forward to hearing from you. Kind regards, Lisa." Now, this is probably a pretty standard email that you would expect to see probably as part of your work when you're working obviously on various international projects. And obviously the nature of this email, I think, is relatively clear. It's looking for an update in relation to the project where the site manager is based. Now, what you will note, of course, at the beginning of that email is the way that it starts. So it starts, "Dear Marko." Now, this is quite this is a neutral way of starting an email. It could also be a formal way as well, but in this case, because the person has addressed them as Marko, their first name, this is a very common way of addressing colleagues, as opposed to, for example, someone from senior management. If it were someone from senior management, then you are more likely to use, "Dear Mrs. Smith," for example, or "Dear Mr. Smith." You'll obviously make the language a lot more formal in that regard. Also, what else I've got here? Yes, also in terms of formality as well. So you also notice that the language, we've used contractions within the email. So again, because of the neutral nature of the language that we use, we can use contractions. So instead of saying "have not," we can say "haven't," etc. Also, a point to note, I know that sometimes I'm asked this question in terms of British English and legal English in terms of the dates. Now, obviously, when you look at it from a British English perspective, when you're writing it that way, then we normally have the day, the month, and then the year. Whereas with American English, they use the month, the day, and then the year. Okay. And also, yes, as you noticed from the email, there's a lot of requests in a polite way. So it's quite common. You'll see the term "please, can you do this?" or "can you do this, please?" So again, it's a very, very common expression that we would use. And it's something which obviously adds an element of politeness to the request that's being made, right, using indirect language. And I will touch upon this a little bit later in another piece of email dialogue that we will see. Another point that you will have noticed from the email as well is the use that when setting the deadline, I use the preposition "by." So, we want, I need this, whereas yes, please can I have an update by no later than 4 p.m. UK time. So this is meaning up to and including the day specified. So you've got literally, so the email was sent on Monday. So Marko has from basically Monday, receipt of the email on Monday, until Wednesday, 4 p.m. in order to respond in accordance with this particular email. And also, you'll note at the end, I've also, before putting the final greeting, the ending greeting, looking forward to hearing from you. Again, this is a very fixed expression and something that we use quite commonly in British English in particular. Or we could say, I look forward to hearing from you. So it's either looking forward to hearing from you or I look forward to hearing from you, not I looking forward to hearing from you, so as a fixed expression. And as you see at the end, we've put here, kind regards. Again, you can use a variety of things, regards, kind regards, best regards. I've even sometimes heard and seen warm regards. I think it's maybe a little bit more of a cultural thing as well, but they're all fine to use as endings in such emails. Again, because it's neutral language and the person that you're writing to is familiar with you and you are familiar with them, so it makes things quite easy. So if we now look at the second email. So this email is dated the Thursday, the 4th of April. So the original email was on Monday, and now it is Thursday. So it's the day after Marco was supposed to have written to Lisa. And as we can see here, dear Marco, I note that I've not received a reply to my email dated 1st April requesting an update regarding the motorway project. Please can you ensure that you update me by no later than 1 p.m. UK time tomorrow? That's Friday, 5th April. This matter is getting urgent as I need to know the current progress and whether there are any issues that need my attention. Looking forward to your reply. Kind regards, Lisa. So as you can see from this particular email, again, in the first paragraph where Lisa says, I note, this is a very sort of common expression that we use, obviously, when we're informing the receiver of the email that we have made either a mental or a physical note, could be both, that we are expecting something from them. And in this particular case, as you can see, we're obviously waiting for an update regarding the project. Now, of course, everyone is busy, and we all get probably hundreds, if not thousands, of emails, maybe even more now as a result of the current situation. And so sometimes, obviously, because things get lost in the list of emails that you have, it's always very useful to actually put in what email date you are referring to, because there are so many of them. So it's very, very good to put the date in. As you probably noticed from the email, when Lisa was referring to the email that she wrote, she actually dated it as well. So she said, it's, please can you make sure that you, I know that I've not received a reply to my email dated 1st of April. Now, you can structure this particular way in one of a number of ways, exactly as you see it here. So my email dated 1st April is one way you could do it. Or you could say my email of, and then of course you put the date. So instead of saying, I know that I've received a reply to my email dated 1st April, you could say, I note that I've not received a reply to my email of 1st April. It's purely your choice at the end of the day. And another important point to note as well is, of course, the time zones. Now, it doesn't necessarily, it may not occur straight away, but obviously if you are working in one time zone, your colleagues working in another time zone, it can obviously be very confusing if you are sort of giving dates and times and you're thinking, well, is that his time or is that my time? So it's very, very good as a matter of principle and sort of good technique as well to simply put in the time you're referring to. Is it yours or theirs? So in this case, as you saw from the email, again, Lisa has stated that she wants a response by no later than 1 p.m. on UK time on Friday. Okay, hope that's clear so far. And I hope you're all following me relatively well and you're getting some good content here. What we are going to do now is we're now actually going to look at Marco's reply, which is the third email. And if you look at this third email, actually, if you just take a moment and have a look at it, and if you can maybe spend a few moments reading through it and maybe suggesting how you might write some of the points, only one or two of them differently. I'm going to read through the email myself now, and as I'm reading through it, if you can maybe think about how you might put things differently, and please feel free to mention it in the chat. So, good morning, Ms. Lisa. Very sorry for delay in replying your emails. There have been some delays to project. We are waiting for different materials to arrive from the factory, such as cement and steel beams. They should have been delivered on last Monday, but the supplier is saying he not received payment and will not give us the materials until we pay. Speak to accounts department to check payment and let me know. I know this will affect the project timetable, but I cannot do anything. Best regards, Marco. So, just out of interest, just give people a moment maybe to think about, would there be any things you might change possibly, either in terms of the way you introduced yourself in the email, or sorry, the way you started the email, or one or two of the elements within the email itself? Maybe whilst you're thinking about it, or maybe writing them down and typing them away, I can start to point out some of the issues that I would probably highlight myself. The first thing, obviously, is the way that Marco states, opens with, good morning, Ms. Lisa. Now, the good morning part is absolutely fine, of course. There are no issues as far as that's concerned. However, it's the next part, Ms. Lisa, that needs a little bit of changing here. Now, if you're going to make this a formal email, then you would address, as I mentioned before, you would address her by her surname. So if you wanted to be formal, you would say, good morning, Ms. Kane, for example. But in this case, because it's a neutral situation, we would probably more likely say, good morning, Lisa. Or more preferably, we probably would again just use the title dear, and then Lisa, as Lisa did in her emails to Marco. That's the first point. And the second point is, if you look at the way that he then starts his next sentence, very sorry for delay in replying your emails. So obviously he's apologizing. The sentence is very clear. However, grammatically, there are some issues here. Now, there is no, as you can see, there's no subject or verb where he would say, I am very sorry for the delay. He's just simply said, very sorry. And again, it's okay because it's a neutral email. You can be a little bit more flexible in your grammar. You don't necessarily have to put the subject and the verb to begin with. Again, if you're trying to be more formal, though, you have to obviously use the grammar in to its full extent. So you would put everything fully in there. And also you will note that the word the was missing from the original, and as it's been highlighted here. So we're talking about the delay because we are talking about a specific delay here. As we know, it's delay regarding the project. And also, when we're putting replying, when we use the verb to reply, we often use the preposition to, reply to someone. So in this case, he should be saying, so very sorry for the delay in replying to your emails. Now, of course, on the issue of articles, the, and an, I know that with certain languages like Russian and Japanese, this is quite a challenge because, of course, it doesn't really exist in that language. So you will probably find that in your own language, possibly you do not have these prepositions at all. Sorry, articles at all. So in this situation, obviously, it's going to be through practice that you will begin to see this. And maybe you've already written emails, and if you were to reread through those emails and have a look at maybe if you have English lessons or you've had an English teacher look through your emails and provided with you with some feedback, you'll probably notice that there are certain articles that you're either completely missing or occasionally missing. So in that situation, what you should probably do is look at the expressions that you use most commonly and try to learn them by heart, so that you know that every time you write this sentence, because you write it so regularly, you will be able to gradually incorporate the articles into your sentences correctly, and then you can then write them more accurately. Of course, it doesn't take away, in most cases, the meaning behind what you're trying to say. The message generally is quite clear, but of course, from an accuracy point of view, you obviously want to try to make sure that you put it in there. Another point in the email, if you recall, if I just have it up for just a second, it was in relation to the issue of use of the word. We are waiting for different materials. Now, of course, the word different here is okay, but we would more commonly use the term various materials. So it's one of these collocations. So these are commonly used words which we put together, and you'll have this in quite a few situations. And it's good. So this would be something to clarify. The other thing as well, of course, is mentioning here is when you are stating what exactly is the nature of the issue. In this case, the materials that we are looking for are specific. So it's not really, you're not actually giving a list of some of the things that may be missing. You have to be very, very precise and very, very clear about what it is that you are missing so that this can be actioned if necessary. Another issue also in the same email is in relation to the preposition on. You saw here, they should have been delivered on last Monday. Now, whenever you use the words last, this, next, or every, you do not use the preposition on. So there are no prepositions at all. And that applies with other prepositions as well. So whether you're saying at or in, you do not need those prepositions when you are using these types of words. Also, you noticed he says, but the supplier is saying he not received payment. So in this situation, obviously, we are missing something here. And in this situation, of course, we know, because we've already made inquiries, that we're already aware that he hasn't received. So therefore, we're using the present perfect tense here in order to make it clear that it's something we need the verb and we need the correct tense as well. And in this case, it's the verb to have, and that we are awaiting payment. The next sentence, the next paragraph, which starts speak to accounts, obviously, when you use this kind of expression, it's quite direct. And so we need to be a little bit careful in terms of our language, because of course it's there's nothing wrong in itself to be direct, because sometimes you have to be, but also when you're writing emails, bearing in mind you can't really tell the tone of the writer, it can sometimes be misinterpreted as being rude. And so in this situation, it's better to include some kind of some additional language, like as a request. So could you, or please could you speak to accounts, in order to basically get a response. And as you know, in terms of British English, we tend to use more indirect language as well. And finally, just the last sentence, which says, I know this will affect the project timetable. Effect, obviously, in this context is incorrect, because we're using it, it's more synonymous with the word result rather than with the words influence or change, which of course, as a result of the materials not arriving, this will obviously affect, change, or influence the timetable. Okay, great. Okay, good. So hopefully you're keeping up with the emails so far. We're going to move on to email number 4 now. And this is a short email from Lisa to Marco. So this is her response to Marco, following on from what he told her. So she basically states in her email number 4, so this is Monday the 8th of April, Dear Marco, thanks for your email and for the update. So nice and simple, very, very, some neutral language. It's not like thank you for, which could be more formal. It's just thanks for your email and for the update. I've tried calling accounts and their line is engaged. I've emailed them and am awaiting their reply. I'll update you as soon as I have a reply. Regards, Lisa. So in this situation, she said regards instead of kind regards. So again, just a slight change in terms of the way she's ended it. Obviously, this email is just simply acknowledging, the update. So it's a simple acknowledgement, and that she's updating the reader about what is currently happening with the situation. And you'll also note in the second sentence where she says, I've emailed them and am awaiting their reply. You'll see obviously that she doesn't say I've emailed them and I am, or I'm awaiting their reply, because in this situation we are able to carry over without the need to include the subject in this situation. So you can simply say I've emailed them and am awaiting their reply. Okay. Right. That's basically everything as far as email 4 is concerned. We're going to move on to email number 5, which is another email from Lisa to Marco, updating him or further to the information she's got. So on the same day, Monday the 8th of April, this is at 5 p.m. London time. Dear Marco, I've heard back from accounts and it appears there was an error in the processing, which has been corrected and payment has now been made. Unfortunately, I understand this will take a few days to clear, and therefore we are going to lose more time until the payment reaches the supplier's account. In light of this delay, which will effectively be 2 weeks, we need to discuss what we can do to make up this time. Are you free for a telecon this Wednesday at 10 a.m. London time? If not, please tell me days and times you'll be free. Looking forward to hearing from you. Kind regards, Lisa. So, as you can see from this particular email, she said, I have heard back, and she's used a contraction, I've heard back from account. So this is information that she now has in her possession, so it's in the past, and now she is informing Marco about the information that she has. So she's using the present perfect simple structure to begin explaining the situation. And she also, in the same paragraph, she continues to use the same structure in terms of both the fact that there was an error and that this has now been corrected and that the payment has now been made. So it's a continuation of the use of the present perfect structure, again, talking about information which is in the past, but it's connected to now as Lisa is informing Marco about this. She then uses the term, of course, when given negative news and negative feedback. I mean, she starts, using the adverb unfortunately. So, you could possibly use the word sadly or unluckily, but it's more professional and more common to use the word unfortunately in this situation. And then she uses another expression, which is in light of. So this is now, because of what we now know information-wise, this is a very fixed expression which we use quite commonly in email English, in light of, in terms of the situation. Because of the situation, we are now, we will now have to see how we can make up the time because we've now lost time. And if you noticed, she states in the email, she says, so in light of this delay, which will effectively be 2 weeks, we need to discuss what we can do to make up this time. So to make up in this particular context is a phrasal verb, and it means to work extra hours in order to get the time lost back effectively. Okay. And again, of course, you probably noticed towards the end of the email, she again used the same format. So as you noticed, her email structures generally have adopted the same structure in terms of the way she starts, dear, and then the way she finishes, either with kind regards or regards. And just before that, she says, looking forward to hearing from you. So it's quite a common process and a common theme throughout the entire email structure. And we are near the end. We've got just 2 more emails. So email number 6 is from Marco to Lisa. So email 6 is now Tuesday, the 9th of April. So this is the following day. And again, you'll see that Marco has started with good morning, Ms. Lisa. So again, using the same he's using the same style that he uses. And in this situation, again, as explained before, it's okay to start with good morning. But if you're going to, especially to a colleague, just simply stick to the first name, no need for formality. He then goes on to, not use, overly use any, grammar in this situation. He just simply goes directly to the point. He says, noted about the supplier, cannot make Wednesday 10 a.m. I'm available tomorrow at 1 p.m. your time or Thursday 2 p.m. my time, our time suitable. So in this situation, this email, of course, is very, very common because we're all so busy. It's very, very difficult to think about, okay, so how will I structure this, when you're having to think very, very quickly. So again, because it's a neutral email, it's to a colleague, there is flexibility in terms of the grammar that you can or cannot use. The main thing is, of course, is that the message is clear. So in this situation, noted about supplier. So yes, he's aware of the supplier's situation and what's happening with the supplier. And then he obviously states that, unable to make the time that Lisa has suggested. And so he has put forward some suggestions of his own so that Lisa can basically respond back and confirm whether she can make any of these 2 days and times. Just on that point where he says, are time suitable? So it's clear what he's saying in the sentence itself, but it's actually better to sort of structure it more like, are any or either of these days and times suitable? But as I say, because of the time constrictions, they're able to do that. Okay, and then just very briefly, if we look at email number 7, Tuesday, the 9th of April. This is Lisa's response to Marco. So she states, Dear Marco, many thanks for coming back to me about your availability. Thursday, 2 p.m. your time is fine. I'll diarize it now and send you a link via Teams. Speak to you Thursday. Regards, Lisa. So again, she's kept it very brief, just like Marco. She has used this phrasal verb, coming back to. So to come back to someone is a phrasal verb. It's another way of saying replying to. So in this case, she's saying many thanks for replying to my last email about your availability. And then, of course, she's been a little bit less strict in her grammar as well towards the end, where she says, instead of saying, I will speak to you soon, or sorry, I will speak to you on Thursday, she just simply says, speak to you Thursday. And that's basically the end of the email dialogue. So let's have a look and see. Let's get a couple of our messages here. I write emails to my colleagues. I send them documents. Although the aim of emails is sending documents, I think it's important to write something more like greetings. Okay. So Ricardo, do you mean as in the way that you write to them at the beginning and at the end when you're in between sending the documents? If that's what you're saying, then yes, you can, of course, depending on how well you know your colleagues, you can just keep it very, very simple, dear, and then the first name of your colleague, and you can end it with, kind regards, warm regards. If you wanted to be a little bit more informal, of course, you could make inquiries about how they are. So, for example, I know how, if you know them on a personal level, how are the family, or how are you and your family? So you can obviously put that into the emails as well if you wish to. It really does depend on the relationship that you have with the person that you're writing to. The closer, obviously, the relationship, or the more frequently that you write to them, maybe the less formal you can be, and the more sort of neutral, informal your language can be as well. Okay, Tanya, sometimes I use email to book hotels abroad. Okay, good. Yeah, that's great way of doing things. I mean, are there any particular points that you find difficult to explain or to make yourself clear about when you're writing these emails? If you let me know, and maybe I can make some suggestions as to how you might be able to maybe improve that if you like. Okay, great. So let us now move on to the teleconference transcript. And what we're going to do is I'm going to go through the transcript, and with certain parts of it, I'm just going to sort of highlight some points about questions and some of the other grammatical points within the telephone transcript. Okay, so if we can have the telephone transcript up, what I will do then is I will read through the transcript, and as I'm reading through, I will also make some comments about certain elements of it. So as you can see here, it starts with Lisa, and she says, "Hi Marco, how are you?" So obviously, very, very standard question, how are you? So when you're asking questions, the general structure you use when asking questions is you could have a question word possibly, like in this case, how, so it's applicable here, but you would then also you would have the verb, the subject, and then the object. And normally that is the structure that you need to adopt when you are asking questions. So in this particular situation, how are you? So we've got the how, which is the question word, are, which is obviously the verb in this case, and then you in this particular situation. And then if we move on to the next point, hello, Lisa, can you hear me? So again, this is a common situation where you're trying to understand somebody. And in this case, the question is, can you hear me? So can, which is the modal verb, you, which is the subject here, hear, which is the main verb, and of course me, the pronoun in this situation. So again, it follows a very, very similar structure. Sometimes we use modal verbs like can, and sometimes we may use auxiliary verbs like do. So, do you know Ziad, for example? So do would be the auxiliary verb, and then you would be the subject, know, the main verb, and then Ziad, obviously in this case, would be the object. Okay. Then, Lisa, yes, Marco, I can hear you. Can you hear me? Marco, yes. So he says initially, volume was very low. I hear you better now. How are you? Now, of course, it's quite clear what he's saying, but of course, the use of the word, again, this comes back to using articles, the volume, so the volume of maybe his speaker or his microphone was either switched off or very low, and therefore he was unable to hear. And now he says, I can hear you. So again, we use the modal verb with the main verb, I can hear you. Okay. And then we go on to see Lisa. Good, thanks. So she's responding to his question of how are you? She says, good, thanks. How are you? How's the weather in Croatia? So again, very, very, the same structure being used here. So he's, she's asking about the weather, and he basically says, firstly, that he's well. So he says, I'm good, which is fine. Weather is okay. So again, because we're talking about specific weather in Croatia, the weather is okay. And then he says, he uses the term, it rains, which of course is quite, it's a general term. So generally, yes, it rains. We know that it rains generally. But in this case, because he's talking about what is the situation right now at the moment where he is, he should be using the present continuous tense. So he should be saying, it is raining right now as we are speaking at this moment in time. Okay. And then Lisa says, yes, it's raining in London too. So, and then she moves, and then the way to sort of move a conversation on from using the small talk of how are you and how's the weather, a word that you can use to move the conversation on is so. And then you're sort of lightly now moving on to the topic that you actually want to talk about after the small talk. So here, so I understand from accounts that the supplier has received payment and you should have received the materials. Is that correct? So when providing information received in the past and updating someone now, we would use the present perfect tense. So when receiving the information from accounts and informing Marco, Lisa uses the present perfect simple tense. And also when there is no indication of when the information was received in the past, so there's no actual timeline like yesterday or last week, then we would also still use the present perfect tense as well in that situation. Okay. And then Marco continues with the dialogue. He says, yes, sorry, I've lost my yes, sorry. Yes, the materials, Marco. So yes, the materials arrived this morning and work begins now. So Marco, again, should be using the present perfect tense in this situation, because now that the materials have arrived, at the time of speaking to Lisa, the materials have already arrived, the work has already begun, so he should be using the present perfect tense here. So the materials arrived this morning and work has begun. Okay. Lisa then says, excellent. So the question now is, how do we make up the time lost by this delay? So here, again, we're asking the question word how, the auxiliary verb do, the subject we, and make up in this case, as explained earlier. So how do we make up? How are we going to get back this time that we have lost? Okay. Marco says the workers, so his suggestion is the workers can work overtime. If we will pay the workers overtime, they will finish the job quickly. Now, this second part where he says, if we will pay the workers overtime, they will finish the job quickly. This is obviously a conditional sentence. The way, obviously, this should be a sort of a conditional sentence, sorry, a first conditional sentence, because in this particular scenario, we have to express a real or very possible future situation and their results. So in this particular case, what we should be saying is, if we pay the workers overtime, if we pay the workers overtime, they will finish the job quickly. Okay, that would be the correct structure here. So when we're using the first conditional sentence, the condition clause must start with the present simple. So it should be if we pay. That's the structure. Pay. So to pay would be the present simple, and then the result clause in this case is as I've just mentioned is where have I got? Lost my track. Yeah, they will finish the job. They will finish the job. So it's will plus the base form of the verb. In this particular situation, it will be finish. They will finish the job quickly. Okay. And then if we move on to the next part, we've got Lisa. So she says, okay, that's an option. Where am I? Okay, yeah, okay, that's an option to consider. And then again, she gives the same sort of conditional sentence structure. So if we agree, so agree here is the present simple tense. So sorry, the present simple verb. If we agree to pay overtime, will the workers finish this phase on time? So she's asking it as the second part. She's asking as a question. So will and finish again are also in the same structure. So will finish this phase on time. So she's asking the question in this way. And you will also notice, in fact, that the structure of the question is very similar to what I've explained. So in this case, will, in this case, is the modal verb. The workers of case, in this particular case, obviously are the object. Finish is the main verb, and then of course this phase on time. And then Marco says, yes, sure, more money for them, they happy. Well, of course, the only thing that Marco is missing, although it's quite clear, obviously Marco is talking about a future situation when they will receive the money in the future, so they will be happy, of course, once they get paid, but this is obviously something in the future. Okay, and then moving on to the next part. So we have Lisa. She says, do you have any other proposals? So again, using the same question form, do is the auxiliary verb, you, the subject, have, main verb, and then the object, any other proposals. And Marco says, maybe, ask, and then he misses out the word for, more time. So it's important that we add the word for always, because you're asking for something. So you ask for more time, you ask for permission, you ask for maybe a raise as part of your job, or you ask for an extension of time. So in this particular case, we're talking about maybe getting more time for the project. And Lisa says, we need to avoid extending the timetable if possible. Can we employ more workers? So again, she's using the same structure, can we. So can, modal verb, we, subject, employ, verb. Same structure again. So it flows throughout the whole conversation. Can we employ more workers? And Marco says, maybe. Why you want more workers? It's enough. So in this situation, obviously Marco is missing it as part of his question. He's got the question word why correct, but he's missed out the verb, in this case the auxiliary verb do. Why do you want more workers? And then of course he's also indicated that basically they have enough workers. His way of explaining it though, he says it's enough. Well, it is enough would be maybe, for example, it is enough as in time. But if we're talking in this case about people or resources or materials, we have enough of this material or resources. And then Lisa goes on to say, I want to make absolutely sure we do make up the time so that we remain on schedule. We have some flexibility with the budget. How many do you need to complete the current job on time? Okay, so again, Lisa is including within her explanation here another question, the how question. This time it's how many. So this is quite a fixed expression, how many of something. In this case, we know that it's workers. So she doesn't really have to say how many workers do you need. She can just simply say how many do you need, and Marco will understand exactly what she's talking about. Okay. And so Marco then says 15 is good. So he's obviously confirming that the number of people that will be useful in order to make sure that we can finish the project on time. And so Lisa obviously understands that. And she says, okay, I will authorize this additional cost and push to have the extra workers join you tomorrow or Monday. Okay. And then Marco says, okay, good. What about overtime? So he's again asking the question because it was asked earlier. And Lisa didn't really make it very clear, because she then started talking about getting extra workers in. So how does Lisa respond to this? So she says, let me think about it. So now she's using conditional sentence again here. If we are on schedule by next Thursday, then we will not need to pay overtime. So again, we've got are as the present simple situation, and then we have will not need. So in this case, it's a negative sentence, will not need. So they will, so let me think about it. If we are on schedule by next Thursday, so this is a real situation, you know, which is obviously which we're looking into the future on, and we at this stage we are trying to confirm right now. We're trying to see if we are going to be on schedule, and then if we are on schedule, then we will not need to pay overtime. And Marco says okay. And then finally, Lisa says excellent, and she says, are there any other issues I should know about? So, you know, just to be able to clarify if there's anything further that we need. So if we can just move on to the last one. Yeah, there we go. Marco. So Marco says, okay. Lisa says, excellent. Are there any other issues I should know about? So again, she's asking in the very same structure that we've been talking about at the beginning. Marco says, no, all okay. Effectively, everything is okay. And Lisa says, okay, then thanks for your time. If any issues do arise, so she's saying, you know, if there is an issue, please let me know immediately so I can deal with them. Marco says, okay, no problem. Lisa, bye for now. Marco, bye. And that, I apologize, it's a little bit rushed, but I was conscious of time. I hope that you found the emails and the telephone transcripts useful, and there's some interesting and useful dialogue and structures there. Maybe if we come back to Olga, we might have some feedback from Olga, from Sylvia, and of course our illustrious audience as well.
Thank you so much, Ziad. There was so much more insight in English grammar overall, with different tenses and other examples. So this was very, very informative and very interesting as well. And we've been asking our audience about what things they struggle with the most in terms of their telephone conversations and also email writing. And it's really great to see a comment from Tanya, who says that at the moment, so these days she actually understands English very well due to all of these classes online, and I'm sure training as well on face-to-face. So that's great to hear. So just to add that, unfortunately, we have just a limited time right now because this was such a vast topic. And of course, we couldn't have possibly covered everything. So this is just some kind of top-level information. But if you've got any questions that we can answer right now, then do write them in the live chat next to the video. And even after this live stream, you can still write your questions in the comments below the video. So we'll endeavor to answer them. But so let's just see what people are saying. So Marcello Henin is saying, yeah, thank you so much for your excellent work. Thank you, Marcello.
Thank you for the kind comments.
And then we have a comment from Sarah Goma, who agrees with Tanya's earlier comment, and says that she still has some issues with grammar in emails.
Okay, well, Sarah, I mean, if you can maybe, if you'd like to put one of them forward now, maybe we can just talk about it briefly, if you like. I mean, I know that obviously because many of us nowadays have to use email a great deal, and I think people quite rightly have got concerns about their emails, generally speaking, and about the grammar within emails. Of course, it is important to grammar is very, very important, and you do have to be as accurate as you can be. And the only way you're obviously going to be able to do this is by a combination of things. And obviously one of them is continuous practice, repetition. But of course, that in itself is not going to be enough if you're repeating the same mistakes. So clearly, you'll need some guidance as to maybe where you can improve, and to sort of highlight what areas that you have errors in that you need to rectify. Now, of course, some of these things may be because of your own language. So of course, it's your own language imposing on your English language, which is quite natural and quite common for many people. And this may be something which, again, over time and with more practice, focusing on the exact structure that you need to use when you're writing a particular sentence in English, like just a simple one, as I mentioned before, about looking forward to hearing from you. So I see sometimes, look forward to hear from you, or looking forward to hear from you. So there are small things like this that it just simply needs a little bit more concentration, a bit more focus on making sure you have the correct fixed structure. Because once you've learned it and you memorize it, it can be quite, it becomes very, very natural then for you. I'm not sure. I think maybe possibly Sylvia can give us some light in relation to this situation. Possibly.
No, I totally agree. Actually, I think there's in all languages there are set phrases. You pointed out, starting of an email, ending an email. So, and I think this goes across loads of languages. So I think the key is, yes, to have a little notebook with all those phrases, which then by using it, they'll become very natural. Yeah. And
Right.
today, I think you pointed quite a very useful one and very common. So yeah.
Perfect. And just Sylvia, as we're talking about, because you deal a lot with clients who come to us for, various English language courses. So what would you advise to those who considering taking this training and particularly improving their grammar? Which courses would be best for them? And also, Ziad, if you could say a little bit more about that as well.
Yeah, we do. I do get a lot of clients coming requesting to improve their writing in general, emails, especially in the world of corporate and business. Obviously, they want to sound more accurate. And what I think some of the courses provide is enough tools to be able to create more error-free emails. Obviously, it takes time, as we've seen, even like Marco's emails, they were not always correct, but like Ziad was saying, they were clear. You could understand the message. So sometimes this is important. It's important to make sure that your message is understood. With time, obviously, grammatically makes it better, and that takes time. So it's not over one course. It may take more than one course to get that perfection. But yes, obviously there is loads of we have a large variety of clients, and depending on their jobs, they want to be more accurate, and then especially if they are going to a new company. So that's when many of our clients come, I've got a new job and I want to make sure that I sound better, obviously, to impress the new employers.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, I mean, I totally agree with everything you just said, obviously, Silva, definitely. And I suppose the only thing I could add about, in terms of practice, I mean, it really depends on whether you're the type of person that sort of would prefer to do things within a group sort of setting or on an individual basis. Now, maybe something like email writing may be more geared towards someone who would need it maybe on a more one-to-one basis, because it may be quite specific, and it may be very specific to that industry as well, because of course, as we know, industries have different language as well, in the sense of the technical language and also the commonly used language as well. So, for example, what you have in legal English language, you will not necessarily have in financial English language, for example. There are differences there. Yes, there are overlaps, but there are also fundamental differences as well. So I think it really depends on what your ultimate goal is. If its main focus is email writing and it's in a specific area, then maybe doing one-to-one lessons might be more preferable. Or alternatively, if you think because you need to obviously do this within the form of a group, then maybe a group will be better for you, where they also can touch upon emails, just not as in detail as you might need it if you did need it specifically for a particular area of work.
Thank you. So there are lots of different options then, depending on the needs of the client. Unfortunately, we have to wrap up and end the session for today, even though this is a very big topic. And we hope that for any one of you who is not subscribed to the channel yet, that you would subscribe and come back for more live streams, including, I'm sure there'll be more live streams on business English grammar as well. But next week, we also have a live stream on business English in networking, for networking and small talk. So if you need to feel a bit more confident speaking to your colleagues and partners during social occasions, this is the one for you. It's on Thursday at 5:30 and next week. And I want to say a big thank you to everyone who joined us today. Big thank you to Ziad for his wonderful presentation on business English grammar, and to Sylvia for telling us a little bit more about the English courses, and of course to all of our alumni who are joining us. Tanya, it's great to always see you on all of our live streams, and new people as well as kind of regulars on the live stream. So thank you, and we hope that you keep safe and you keep learning English. Yeah.
Perfect. Bye-bye, everyone.
Thank you very much.
Bye.
Goodbye, everybody.